What is up, my beautiful guys, girls, gays, and days? Welcome back to I Said What I Said. Woo! Hey guys. Hey, how are you? We haven't done a solo episode in so long. I've definitely been enjoying interviewing. I'm definitely trying to refine my skills when it comes to interviewing a guest because you really have to shape your persona depending on the guest. Like if it's like a girly pop that I've known for a while that I can kiki with, then it's chill. But if it's a straight man that I don't really know, it can be a little bit difficult. And I'm not shading Charlie at all. He is fucking incredible, and that is such a fun episode. Go check it out if you haven't already. But that was the first straight cisgendered man I've had on the podcast, and I was terrified. I don't know if you can tell in the video, but I was how do I relate to this person? But I think it went okay. If you want more straight men on the podcast, let me know. Because it's not really my forte. I mean, I do have straight friends. I do have straight cisgendered male friends. I do. But they usually end up being something more than that, which is the reason I am sat here today. Because I wanted to speak about something that's been on my mind, okay? I actually tried filming this episode before, ages ago now, and I was not having the best day. Guess why? Because of a man. Crazy. That is crazy. Do you know what? That is actually mental that a man ruined my day. But it happens all the time, maybe about 2-3 days a week. A male ruins my day. Listen, I'm not a misandrist. Is that what a misandrist means? Word, fact check, misandrist. Well, misogynist is when you hate women, right? So a misandrist is when you hate men. Word checked. Period. English lit baddie, okay? Listen, I'm not the thing about all men and stuff like that. I have a lot of male friends that are amazing, but usually someone is ruining my day, and usually that person is a man. And that's why I tried filming this episode before and failed miserably because I was having such a bad day. My emotions were everywhere. I couldn't stay on a topic, and that's because I was in a bad place. So we're trying again today. I'm in a lot better of a mood. My lashes look cunt. Okay, I look pretty. I'm feeling myself. So we're going to speak about attachment styles because I've been doing a lot of research recently, and I've been doing a lot of looking into myself. Do you know what I mean? A lot of healing. A lot of, healing. Would I call it healing? No, just analyzing the way I work, especially when it comes to relationships. And I wanted to speak about all the different attachment styles because it's hella interesting and I feel like it's relatable too. But first, song of the week, okay? Before we get into anything, you know how it goes. Song of the week. I've got a few song of the weeks. Evil Jordan by Playboi Carti. And I think The Weeknd is in it too. The way I love Playboi Carti. You know what? He demonic. He's scary as hell. But he serves cunt, okay? It just is. All his new album, it just eats. Do you know what I mean? I'd be listening to that on the train and I'd be almost having an aneurysm because there's so many noises in my head. But that's the way I like it. That's the way I like it. That's the way I like it. Yeah, anyway, so that's my song of the week. Also, Come Over by La Seraphim. It's got a very, what's that band called? Jungle? It's very like that song that went really viral. It's similar to that, but on a different vibe, and it's also kind of K-poppy, which is what I love about it. Anyways, those are my two songs of the week. But yeah, let's get started. Okay, so if you don't know what attachment styles are, right? It is the type of person you are when it comes to relationships. This can be friendships, this can be romantic relationships, platonic, family, all of the above, okay? And there are 4 main attachments. Guys, I do have my notes here because I want to be so correct when I speak about this. I've been trying to do as much research as possible, and it's so interesting. So the 4 main attachment styles. Okay, so there's anxious attachment, there's avoidant attachment, there's secure attachment, and there's fearful avoidant. Okay, I think we can all guess which one I am. That is anxious attachment, and that's the one I want to speak about most today because the way it consumes my life is pretty crazy. And that goes for platonic friendships, families, romance, everything. And anxious attachment is basically this kind of fear that you're going to lose someone. This constant pressure and paranoia that you're not doing enough, the other person isn't doing enough, and you crave commitment and consistency and loyalty. And in this current day and age, that is impossible to find. Listen, I've been dating like on and off for like the past, oh my God, when did I break up with my ex? When did I break up with my ex, Poppy? Do you know this? No, she don't know. Who cares? Anyway, since I broke up with my ex, I've been on and off. So about like maybe 2 years, year and a half, right? And oh my God, the way our generation is so nonchalant. And for someone that has anxious attachment style, that is possibly the worst type of person that you want to date or be in a situationship with or be romantic with or have feelings for. Because you will only crumble in the inside. And that's kind of what I've been experiencing with a lot of these guys that I've been seeing. And don't get me wrong, that might be my fault because I don't necessarily have the best taste in men. I like guys that are a little bit toxic. Maybe that's because I'm a little bit toxic, but I've had this big turnaround recently that I just want to be a good person. I don't want the toxicity. I'm growing up. I CBA for this back and forth. I'm CBA for all of the, you know, push and pull. I CBA for the push and pull. And you know what? A lot of guys at the moment think it's cool to be distant, be love bomb me, and then want you so bad, and then push away, and then come back, and then push away, and I'm exhausted. I am exhausted. I don't think I can do it anymore. So I made this decision to myself, Lou, you're going to try find good people, okay? If you're going to date, if you're going to be on that devilish Hinge app, which I love dearly, unfortunately, if you're going to do that, you have to keep your eye out and you have to be safe and you have to protect your feelings. Do you know why? Because you have anxious attachment style and you're not going to get rid of it. I'm going to give you the definition of anxious attachment right now. An anxious attachment style, also known as anxious preoccupied attachment, is an insecure attachment style characterized by a deep fear of abandonment and a strong need for reassurance and validation in relationships, stemming from early childhood experiences. So there's a lot of key characteristics in anxious attachment style. So fear of abandonment. Individuals with this style often worry about losing their partners or being left alone. Check, I have that all the time. Need for reassurance. They constantly seek validation and reassurance from others, often becoming overly dependent on their partners. I don't feel like I have that a lot, but it definitely exists. And I think that comes down to a lot of my childhood and also growing up trans. I think the fact, you know what, we're going to get into that later, how growing up trans affects your attachment style and being in the queer community and stuff like that, because I do find it inherently related. Another one is clinginess and hypervigilance. They may become clingy, overly attentive, or hypervigilant for signs of rejection or distance. Okay, I am very hypervigilant. If I notice something off in a text message, a difference in tone, a look on your face, I think you hate me and I think you never want to speak to me again. And that's probably one of my biggest downfalls, because having anxious attachment, you look into things. You can't help it. You think that because someone hasn't messaged you in 20 minutes that you slept with the other day, hates you and wants nothing to do with you. No, they just haven't messaged you in 20 minutes, okay? Because they're cooking something up in the kitchen, or they're on the phone, or they're playing video games, or they're at work, okay? Lou, you need to grow up. You need to grow up at the end of the day. And that's one of my main issues that I have with having anxious attachment, okay? There could also be low self-esteem, difficulty with intimacy. Well, you know, you might crave closeness, but you can also struggle with intimacy due to the fear of vulnerability. For a while, that was a big problem with me. So growing up trans at school and stuff like that, obviously, I was so far behind everyone. All of my friends, you know, all of my girlfriends, you know, were getting into relationships, starting something more serious. And it was scary because I thought that would never happen for me, because everyone was scared to, you know, be with a trans person. Obviously, you're also not over 18. So like finding people out of school is a little bit harder. You know, you're not on dating apps, all of this kind of stuff. So I just thought it wasn't in the question for me. I just thought that I, you know, didn't deserve to be in a relationship, and that was heartbreaking. I was watching all my friends, and I'll tell you the honest truth, I was jealous. I was jealous. Who wouldn't be jealous? Because as a person that felt like they had so much love to give, they were just being used all the time. I was being used all the time. I was experiments for a lot of guys, and I let that happen. I let guys treat me like dirt because I thought that that was the best I was going to get. And that created this anxious attachment style within me because I thought that that's all I was good for. And the tiniest bit of validation, I'd hold on to. I'd grasp onto that like it was gold. Okay. It was like this weird spell that I had over my body that, like, if some guy treated me even the tiniest bit nice or did something nice to me, then that person is my love, and I have to care about that person forever, and I have to be the best person ever, and that person, clearly wants me, and it was messy. It was messy. I mean, I sound messy even speaking about it now, and it's just really hard. That, like, growing up queer, growing up trans, is so difficult when it comes to relationships because you'll have experiences, you'll have your first times, you'll have everything, and it will just have so much more meaning to you and so much more intensity. And when those things let go, or those people let go of you, you feel like you lose something within yourself. So I think that is a big part of where my anxious attachment style stems from. And I carry it with me to this day. Like, I am speaking to people at the moment. Well, I'm not speaking to people, I'm speaking to one person. And they're great. They're an amazing person. I can't really think of anything wrong with them right now. Okay, I'm not saying that there's going to be something wrong with them in the future. There could be. But right now it's going really well. But do you know what? I'm sitting in my bed anxious as hell. I can't think to myself, this is going well, because I've been so messed up by the past and how I've been treated in the past. And that is so sad. That is so sad. It's like when something good comes along, you're gonna mess it up. You're gonna self-sabotage because you have this anxious attachment style. Listen, I've met guys with avoidant attachment style. And avoidant and anxious, put them together, babe. If you're either one of them, it's going to be messy. If you're a guy that's speaking to an anxious girl, it's going to be messy for you if you're avoidant. If you're a girl that's avoidant and you're speaking to an anxious attachment guy, it's going to be messy for you because you're going to be feeling like they're obsessed with you and you don't want them and you push away. If you remember, I spoke to Loz about this in the Loz episode, Lazik. Love her. Hey, babe, if you're watching. And she said she's avoidant. And I was like, girl, give me some of that because I'm cripplingly anxious and it's scary. You feel like you are pushing away people because of how obsessive you can get. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes it can mean that you're extremely passionate and you only want what's best all the time. But it can often lead to self-sabotage because you become overly obsessive. And that's happened to me multiple times. And especially when speaking to an avoidant guy, I was in a mess.
Find yourself looking for a new job or change in career? Monster.com is here to help. We are not only here to bring you job postings, but also AI interview prep and salary tools, expert career advice, and top-notch resume services. We've got everything you need to land your perfect job fit. Discover the magic of finding the ideal job with Monster.com. Your future starts now. Visit Monster.com today. Your next job opportunity is just a click away.
I went crazy for 3 months. I didn't even speak to this guy for that long. I wouldn't even say that we weren't exclusive. Like, I still had Hinge, right? And I'm sure he did too. But it was so not good for me because I was constantly feeling disrespected, but I constantly wanted more. And that's what these avoidant guys do. They can just, like, put you on the burner. Do you know what I mean? Because they are so nonchalant and they so don't care. They can just avoid it and avoid the problem and not communicate and not speak about it properly. And I had many crying nights with my girlfriends. I was stressed out all the time. Poppy, do we remember? Poppy, I need Poppy to say it.
I remember how upset she was. Thanks.
Thank you, Poppy. Anyways, it was traumatizing. And that's a big part of anxious attachment. And I wish I could change it in myself, but I can't. And it's awful. I'm going to give you some, signs if you might have anxious attachment. We kind of read it before, but like, are you overanalyzing those texts? Are you overanalyzing that sentence, the punctuation? You might have anxious attachment style, okay? Because I'd be sitting there reading through messages over and over again thinking, oh my God, this person hates me. No, babe, they just didn't use a comma, and they don't have to use a comma because we're literally typing a message and we're Gen Z who uses a fucking comma. I mean, I do because I'm smart like that, period. But yeah, that could be a sign. Difficulty trusting, even if things are going well. I spoke about this earlier, like literally a few minutes ago. If you can't sit here and trust that things are going to be okay and things are going well, then you will never allow yourself to be fully comfortable. Ever. Okay? Like I said before, I'm currently speaking to someone and I really like them. They're great. They're a really cool person. But I'm sitting here because I have such deep-rooted trust issues and fear of abandonment. I am sitting here stressing the hell out. And I'm never going to be able to fully enjoy myself. That might change. It's just that I need to be proven that I'm wanted. And it might take a little bit more in order to prove that to me than the average person. So there's another sign if you may be dealing with anxious attachment. Okay, I'm going to speak about some tools and strategies to maybe help with your anxious attachment style, because this has helped me a little bit. Don't get me wrong, I'm still suffering, and I don't think it's ever going to change because that's kind of life and it's the way you're built. And do you know what? You should never judge yourself and you should never blame yourself for feeling this way because it can come from so many roots. It can come from childhood. It can come from abandonment. It can come from trauma. There are so many reasons why you may have this anxious attachment style. But here are some strategies that might help you, that have helped me. So communicating clearly without shame. These days, especially in my generation in Gen Z, communication is awful. Do you know why? Because we're glued to a phone. Everything is social media. Nothing is real and nothing feels real. And everything feels like a joke. Everything is too jokey. Nothing is serious. No one is being serious. And when people are serious, it's not taken well. And I hate that that's what we've become. I hope that that changes. But you cannot feel guilty or ashamed for communicating your needs. Communication is imperative. It is imperative. If you are not communicating, you're only going to go on a downward spiral. Okay? You need to tell the other person, if you're a girl or a guy, that, or whoever you're speaking to, doesn't matter. Whatever type of relationship you're in, you need to make it known that you need communication. It is the only thing, in my personal opinion, that really helps with being an anxious attachment style person. It is the only thing that I can rely on is communication. Because when you're discussing, when you're speaking about a problem, and when you can clearly look each other in the eyes or have that phone call and discuss what needs sorting, what's going good, or a problem, you're going to get so much further. And that trust is going to be built so much more. I've been learning how to do that recently. I've been learning that if I have something I need to say that's been weighing on me, I'm not holding it in anymore because it's only going to cause me more damage. And prioritize yourself. At the end of the day, if you're in this relationship, platonic, romantic, whatever, you need to know how important you are and your feelings. As much as you're trying to protect another person's feelings, put yourself higher because you is what's most important. Like, girlies, come on. Get it in your brain. Literally get it in your brain. Stop thinking that you have to put everyone else above you because you're scared of hurting someone. If you're hurting yourself, you have to do it. Because who wants to be going around moping about hurting because of what someone else is doing to you or how you feel about a situation that hasn't been addressed? Communication. Get it in you. Thank you. Next, self-awareness. This is another big part that I think is really important. Start noticing patterns, okay? If you're noticing that you are repeating the same kind of actions in all of the relationships that you've been in, then you need to start addressing that, because that could be down to you, and that could be down to your personal issues that you've been fighting with or struggling with. Listen, that's totally okay. Everyone goes through things, and the way we react and the way we handle them can be different. Sometimes can be negative, sometimes could be self-sabotaging, and sometimes can be more positive for you. But it's about noticing those patterns with how you're treating others or communicating with others, which can help you a lot. If you're noticing, damn, I'm not releasing my full opinion, damn, I'm holding back, you need to learn to stop doing that, because that's a pattern, and you're going to notice that messing up the relationships that you have. Because however that other person's attachment style is, they're going to be confused, because you will feel one thing one day and then another thing so drastically different the other. And it's about having that consistency in your patterns. And that can help a lot. That's helped me a lot. See, I have a big thing with messaging and social media and the way we communicate, especially with relationships and stuff like that. I hate like texts. I love phone calls because I can clearly understand what someone is saying. A pattern that I've noticed in myself is that I'm going to overanalyze every single message. That's why I try to do as many FaceTimes, as many phone calls as possible, because I know it's just going to upset me, because I'm going to make myself believe something that isn't true. That's a pattern that I've noticed, and I'm trying to change that. Okay, so clearly we've discussed a lot of points in today's episode about attachment styles. It's so interesting to me. What attachment styles are you? If you have maybe looked into it yourself, let me know in the comments, because let's start a conversation, because this needs to be discussed more. And I might make a TikTok on it, because it's actually really interesting. Also, if you haven't followed my TikTok, you should probably follow my TikTok. You probably already do. But I've been making a lot of like trans content recently, which I've been loving. Because do you know what? I am a fucking tranny. Okay? Period. I hope you enjoyed me speaking about this topic. If you want me to speak about more relationshipy type of stuff, listen, I'm gonna sit here and tell you the truth. I'm not an expert when it comes to relationships, but what I am is emotionally intelligent, and I think that is the most important thing. If you're emotionally intelligent, if you're aware of yourself, if you're aware of how others act, that's gonna get you so far in life. And I love speaking about it. I find it so interesting, and I'd love to do more episodes on this. Comment down below what you'd like me to speak about when it comes to relationships, because I could yap for hours. We all know this, but we're going to have to start wrapping up today's episode. But listen, if you are suffering with anxious attachment style, reach out, speak to friends. Don't ignore it, because there are so many ways to help yourself. There are so many ways to feel better. Don't ignore it. Communicate. Please communicate with others, communicate in relationships, because it's going to get you further than you think. Don't be scared and don't be ashamed. I know the generation that we live in is so difficult to feel seen and to share how you actually feel, because we're afraid of judgment. But don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. If someone truly loves you for who you are, then they should accept you for what you mean and how you feel. On that note, I love you guys so much. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of I Said What I Said. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.